8 northern European nations have agreed to step up cooperation to counter an increase in Moscow's military activity, which is alarming many nations across Europe and even in North America. Defense ministers from Nordic and Baltic states and Britain meeting in Norway agreed to do more to share intelligence and widen cross-border Air Force training in the Nordic region after Russia's aggression in Ukraine and raise tensions between Russia and the West.
But I want to speak particularly about the threat to NATO from increased Russian activity in the air. NATO has recorded over 100 intercepts so far this year, 3 times as many as in 2013, and the year is not yet finished. Russian jets are regularly flouting the rules of international aviation. They are intimidating countries way beyond Russia's borders, such as Ireland and Portugal, and they're endangering our aircraft by their close maneuvers. We will not allow Russia to continue to invade our airspace as it has invaded Crimea and the Ukraine. Bears should stay in the woods.
Norway's defense minister said that Russia's actions in Ukraine would not be tolerated.
Russia's aggression towards Ukraine and their continuous destabilizing operations in eastern Ukraine has, as we all know, dramatically changed the security landscape in Europe. And we all, across the table here, agree that Russia's actions are totally unacceptable and violate fundamental principles of international law. We do see increased Russian military activity in the Arctic, including a rise in the number of training exercises. We've also seen a considerable increase in the Russian military activity in the Baltic Sea. We've discussed how our countries best can cooperate even closer and contribute to regional and wider international stability.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has committed to reinvigorating Russia's armed forces, and combined with repeated breaches of international airspace, increased Russian training exercises, Russia's invasion and annexation of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula, and Russia's support of insurgents in eastern Ukraine, northern European nations are taking no chances with their security in the face of a territorial threat from Russia.
Swedish fighter jets intercepted 2 Russian bombers flying in international airspace over the Baltic Sea, close to the Swedish border on Thursday, Sweden's military has said. Relations between the West and Russia have soured as a result of Moscow's role in the conflict in Ukraine and its annexation of Crimea, while increased Russian military activity in the Baltic region and the North Atlantic has added to tension. Sweden, which is not a member of NATO, said it had intercepted 2 Tu-22M backfire bombers heading in the direction of the Swedish island of Åland, south of Stockholm. Back in October, the Swedish military confirmed that a suspected Russian submarine was seen in Swedish waters, prompting the biggest maritime hunt off Sweden since the end of the Cold War. Lithuania's army has been put on a higher state of preparedness, according to reports in the Baltic countries' media. Army chiefs reportedly said the move was in response to an increase of activity of Russian forces in the Kaliningrad region, as well as western Russia. According to previous reports, Lithuania's new Rapid Response Force, comprised of around 2,500 troops, will be ready for deployment from 2 to 24 hours. NATO member Lithuania recently indicated it could provide lethal military aid to Ukraine, which is fighting a Moscow-backed insurgency in its eastern regions of Luhansk and Donetsk. Lithuania's president said Russia's hybrid war in Ukraine carries all the signs of international terrorism.
Another plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. We're in the midst of a global transformation, as more and more people are moving from the offline world to being constantly connected. Over the next 5 years, the way we pay will change, more than it has over the last 50 years. We're innovating faster than ever to connect you to what's next in a world beyond cash. A world where every connected device is a commerce device. A world where we access any train or bus with a tap of our phone. And where we buy our favorite food from a stadium seat or our favorite movie from our connected cars. It's also a world where we help millions of people send or receive money in more secure ways. With great technology comes great responsibility.
When you think about how you experience technology today, it's like behind this glass screen, and you're kind of stuck. It feels cold. We've unlocked the screen.
Really what we're trying to do is break down the walls between, technology and people.
This is the next generation of computing. This is the next PC.
It's basically a see-through display that you wear, and it lets you see holograms in your world, in your space all around you.
A hologram is made out of light, which ultimately allowed us to pour digital assets over the real world so that humans can essentially be entertained and be empowered to do things in brand new ways.
The ability to draw with your hand or to take an asset, an image and move it or scale it is a very natural way of interacting with it.
Here's what you can do with holographic video. Here's what you can do with using your world as a game level. Here's what you can do with taking the power of 3D modeling and creation, and guess what? Pulling it out of a screen into real 3D, and then sharing what you've created with others.
That was science fiction, and now we're bringing it into science fact.
They've been working on this for, years, secretly. You need to have a bunch of obsessive people who see this as a meaningful part of their lives.
This is by far, far, far the hardest, most complex, most challenging, and most intriguing thing I've ever done in my life.
I mean, we are literally smacking up against some of the laws of physics on what we can and can't do with light.
For all this complexity, it has to be incredibly easy, incredibly familiar, incredibly universal how you use this new palette.
We just recently started engaging with third parties to build applications for the device. And the things they're doing they're humbling.
When you've got 1,000 different people from all different backgrounds with all different types of experience, you're gonna see that the stuff that we've built at the beginning is just a tiny scratching of the surface of, what this technology can do and what it can mean for people.
When the other perspectives come to it and all the creatives out there, it's gonna blow our minds.
This is a new medium for artistic expression and a new medium for creation that we've just never had before.
This platform is going to truly blend your digital life with your physical life. And it is so thrilling. This is truly about seeing the world in a whole different way.
Let us dance among the stars. Let us carve our names on Mars. See you
Lance Corporal Monifa Sterling is now appealing her conviction for refusing to take down a Bible verse that was taped to her desk. It read this, quote, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper." Well, the military said that that message would offend others. Religious freedom advocacy group, the Liberty Institute, is now taking on that case, arguing that the decision violates her constitutional rights. Lower courts have previously ruled that the scripture does not count as a religious exercise.
America's watch list of terrorist suspects numbers 1 million people, but over 1 in 3 may be entirely innocent.
Also, Homeland Security says people who oppose abortion or worry about the threat of illegal aliens could pose a radical threat to America. They're the ones we need to be watching at Homeland Security. Why are conservative values suddenly being singled out as a terror threat?
You got a bloody right to say, right, you're bloody well right, you know you got a right to say, you're bloody well right, you know you're right to say.
Report from the Department of Homeland Security sent to law enforcement agencies across the country warning about the potential for an increase in right-wing extremist activity. It warns about groups and individuals dedicated to single issues like abortion, immigration, and gun rights, and even raises a red flag about veterans returning home from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Here's the problem with this. This is the direction. The message needs to be very clear here. The Obama administration here under Department of Homeland Security has allowed a new regime to come into place that basically says this: our focus is going to be on the right-wing groups, the pro-lifers, those that are opposed to various immigration policies, and they base the whole report, Bill, on this idea that we've got a new president and some people aren't happy about that. So they're using this report to stifle speech because they're trying to label all of us that are concerned about these issues. And I've litigated more pro-life cases at the Supreme Court of the United States than a lot of lawyers have. And this idea that my clients are now all right-wing radicals that are extremists and dangerous and the most violent domestic terrorists because they have a picket sign in front of an abortion clinic is preposterous. This is a flashback to 20 years ago. We won then, we'll win this again.
I don't mean to interrupt you here. I just want to squeeze in this final point here. Apparently this was mailed out on the 7th of April, which was a week ago. Now you take a look at what's happening across the country today. People are gathering in public places to protest big government without making a firm link to it. I mean, is it possible?
Sure.
There's a connection.
Listen,
this report comes out a week before it happens?
Look, it's a single issue. A lot of the media, of course, Fox is doing a great job of covering it. A lot of the media is ignoring what's going to be a huge event today all over the country. My own son's speaking at one of them in New York City. And I'll tell you this. They are focusing on single issue. They're going to say tax reform is a single issue. These are right-wing extremists. You've got some states that have issued reports saying look at the people's bumper stickers on their cars and make a determination on terrorism there. The message we need is to be sending back to DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and I did a lot of work on the Patriot Act when John Ashcroft was the Attorney General. The message needs to be, do us all a favor, get the terrorists that are trying to harm the country, not the grandmother holding the sign in front of the abortion clinic.
From Nashville, thank you, Jay, for coming in today.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, 20 minutes past. Megan is coming up.
So what should we do? Send in more troops to protect sacrifices already made? Cut a deal with the devil, Iran? Or let the Sunnis and Shias duke it out themselves? I've told you that you need to be afraid because they are coming for you. The ISIS assault, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria signals the beginning of the reverse crusade. They are coming for us. To them, we are the infidels. But I, for one, am not willing to let one more American die or come home with fewer limbs from that part of the world. Americans have shed enough blood there. My resolution? Airstrikes. Bomb them. Bomb them, keep bombing them, bomb them again and again. And I don't care how long it takes. Just take out ISIS, take out their convoys, and take out those troops. And even though our president says he didn't know, they told us they were coming for us. The head of this band of savages, Abu al-Baghdadi, was released by the Obama administration and started ISIS 1 year later in 2010. On his way out of Camp Bucca, where the worst of the worst terrorists are held, he threatened his American jailer, "See you in New York." ISIS is a fanatical religious terrorist organization, and if you think they are nothing more than ragtag rebels, you are wrong. They are a sophisticated band of militants who add to their ranks by emptying out jails and have $1.5 billion, oil fields, control of major Iraqi cities, and who continue their atrocities, now 30 miles from Baghdad. And as they march, they slaughter thousands of moderate Muslims who aren't extremist enough for them. All the while posting the most gruesome videos of mass executions and beheadings. They have a centralized command structure superior to Iraq's military command. With corporate reports and savvy social media, they measure their performance by the number of deaths. Now, Mr. President, you may see yourself as a war hero.
The tide of war is receding. Core al-Qaeda is on its heels, has been decimated. The world is less violent than it has ever been.
The truth? There has been a 60% increase in radical Islamist terrorism since you've been in office. And you just keep letting these guys out. Like the Bergdahl trade and the 5 terrorists, you didn't have the balls to try and Gitmo or federal court. You were simply clueless, a paper tiger who only knows how to cut and run. And here's the kicker. There have been reports that say ISIS was trained by U.S. instructors at a secret base in Jordan to prepare them to fight President Assad as rebels. Since the Benghazi massacre, reports are that the annex was a front for a CIA operation shipping arms to the anti-Assad forces through Turkey. It's your feckless, weak foreign policy on the world stage that is creating a danger zone for all Americans. You and Hillary armed and trained terrorists and gave them true battlefield experience. And then you did a cut and run in Libya and Iraq, leaving our weapons behind. The irony, Mr. President, it will be with our taxpayer-funded weapons that they will be coming for us. So now that your numbers are in the tank, 54% say you're not able to lead, you have a 41% job approval rating, 37% foreign policy approval, you now pick up the ringleader of that Benghazi massacre? Our special forces now arrest Katala? Wow. The guy was in plain sight for 2 years, interviewed by the New York Times, the London Times, CBS, CNN, Reuters, and Fox. We all found him. We all chatted with him. And as American drones flew overhead, he flips them the bird. So why 2 years? Why did you wait? Could it be, Mr. President, that if you arrested him sooner, he could have debunked that despicable video theory? You know, the one you all lied about? Can you imagine? You indict Katala for killing Ambassador Chris Stevens, and he comes in and he says, "You dumb schmucks, what video? We killed you because we're al-Qaeda's cousin, Ansar al-Sharia. We kill Americans." Mr. President, Americans don't trust you for good reason. We're not convinced you even know who the enemy is. You release terrorists, you cut deals with Iran, you dance around with your political correctness while they sharpen their knives. Mr. President, you are playing a very dangerous game for which you are ill-prepared, and it is the American people who will suffer.
Oh, my brothers, come to jihad and feel the honor we are feeling, feel the happiness that we are feeling.
This new and very glossy recruitment video, which looks professionally shot and edited, was produced by ISIS in English. It's tailor-made to appeal to Americans and other Western jihadists. It features a 20-year-old British medical student who's traveled to Syria to wage jihad.
What prevents you from attaining martyrdom and the pleasure of your Lord? Look around you while you sit in comfort and ask yourself, is this how you want to die?
Analysts fear strategies like this may be working.
It's very significant that ISIS is using English. That means they have ambitions to attack Western countries.
It is the first sighting of a group of British teens since they disappeared from London just 2 weeks ago. Take a look at this. This is surveillance video from Turkey. What it shows is the 3 missing girls, it is believed, boarding a bus in Istanbul. Authorities believe they have already crossed into neighboring Syria with plans to join ISIS. Both British counterterrorism officials and the girls' parents have tried to persuade them to return home. This may be yet another example of the ISIS propaganda machine.
It is another night of uncertainty for thousands of Albertans who are out of their homes, not sure when they'll be able to return or if their homes will exist when they do. Wildfires are raging across parts of northern Alberta, started mostly by lightning strikes and fueled by hot, dry conditions. Right now, 70 fires are burning across the province. The ones in red, 20 in total, are out of control. Most of these fires are remote, but a few are creeping closer to cities and towns, sparking nervousness.
Oh my God, oh my God.
Ravaging floodwaters and severe weather across central Texas and Oklahoma, forcing more than 1,000 people to stay in shelters this morning.
Right now is not the time to try to return to your homes.
Oh my God! Stop, stop, stop!
Vehicles and hundreds of homes destroyed.
An ordeal between church and state has erupted in the city of Houston, and some local religious leaders are not very happy. Mayor Anise Parker, the first open lesbian mayor in Houston, sending out court-ordered subpoenas. Parker demanding pastors hand over copies of any sermon that discusses Mayor Parker's homosexuality in gender and gender identity. Church leaders and congregation members are outraged by her demands. The Alliance Defending Freedom Group is a nationally known law firm for working with religious liberty rights. They filed a motion to stop the subpoenas, calling them overbroad, unduly burdensome, and harassing. The argument started the motion for the sermons and writings based on if they are in violation of their tax-exempt status. The problem is that tax exemptions are given to Houston religious groups through federal and state law, not through the city of Houston. The First Amendment alone states that religious groups are protected in their speech and practice. And this all started when a political campaign was initiated to repeal Houston's new equal rights ordinance. The pastors that have been issued a subpoena are allegedly part of a group against the new ordinance. According to the mayor, several pastors encouraged congregation members to fight against the new ordinance by signing petitions and speaking out on politics. After some of the backlash, Parker began to retrace her steps. Now she admits that the subpoenas were broad to begin with. She plans to narrow down the demands but not throw them out altogether.
Now to that string of deadly storms or tornado touching down on Ohio overnight, tearing through this shopping mall. As Houston recovers from that devastating flooding, authorities are still searching for missing people there. And ABC's Matt Gutman is in Houston for us this morning. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Robin. And also here in Houston, there are rescues happening. Just a couple of hours ago, I want you to see that car right behind me. It drove right in here. Rescuers had to pluck that man to safety, and it shows how dangerous this situation still is. Standing water and swift-moving water right through the heart of the fourth biggest city in America and across the country. It's not yet over.
It's on the ground.
Overnight twisters tormenting from Texas.
It's right here, big wedge.
To Ohio. This tornado caught on surveillance video, tearing through a shopping center, flinging debris in the air, and leaving behind a parking lot full of wreckage. Across the Lone Star State, whipping winds and hail forcing these tractor trailers off the road. In Dallas, lightning illuminating the night sky. At least 11 people still missing along the Blanco River, including the 3 families who were inside this home celebrating Memorial Day when the house split, sounding like fireworks.
The house hit a bridge and it took the top part of the house off. The house just basically splintered.
Jonathan McComb, the sole survivor so far, pulled himself out of the water at least 9 miles from the home. His wife and 2 children still missing.
I think recognizing with what's happening with the weather, we all know and we have accepted that they're gone.
The McComb's golden retriever, Maggie, found dangling in branches 3 days after the ordeal. At its peak, the river's devastating waters racing at a rate of 223,000 cubic feet per second. That's more than twice the volume of the waters at Niagara Falls. The river swallowing anything and everything in its path, including dozens of homes. At least 1,400 damaged. In Houston, where highways turned into canals, they're still assessing the destruction.
We have 1,000 properties that we visually inspected. We believe that there may be as many as 4,000 with significant damage.
In Houston, over 500 calls just for water rescues. We saw some of that chaos from the air. Now that all the water has started to recede, you see the massive amount of mess left behind. This heroic rescue caught on a cell phone.
I just didn't want to see the lady drown.
Stephen Shannon and 3 others jumping into the floodwaters to rescue Glenda Reynolds and her dog.
You saved me today. I couldn't swim and I couldn't get out of my car.
With so much of this city underwater, even once all this water recedes or begins to evaporate, this is what it leaves behind. We saw this from the air. This is what it looks like from the ground. This very smelly, nasty stuff. But cleanup here is going to take a very long time, Robin.
It certainly will, Matt. I want to ask you about those electronic monitoring systems that many of us have on our cell phones. Did they work?
It seems to have worked partially. Residents who live in those areas that were hard hit, they did get those messages and managed to get out in time, but there's some concern that tourists did not get those messages on the phones, and local officials here in Texas are looking into that today. Robin.
All right, Matt, thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to Ginger right now. And Ginger, work's not over yet for Houston. Big alerts about more thunderstorms.
Look what's happening right now on the radar. An ugly bow of storms moving through East Texas. Got abundant lightning in there and heavy rains. Already 1 to 2 inches reported with this line. An additional 2 to 4 expected. And that's why we see more flash flood warnings. It's happening again. So if you're in Houston or just north of there, look out for the roads this morning. And then the next couple of days, more scattered storms right there in that Red River Valley, the area we do not want to see from Wichita Falls to Oklahoma City to Abilene, another 2 to 3 inches. And then severe thunderstorms going to happen right here in the northeast and through the New England. This is damaging wind, hail, and a pocket back in the west. Western Oklahoma could see some tornadoes today, too. So it does not end, especially for the area that does not need it this morning.
Remaining very active. All right, Ginger, thank you.
In the book of Revelation, chapter 13, you'll look at verse 1.
This is the Antichrist. He said, I saw at the stand of the sea. The sea would represent people. A beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. That would be a picture of the Antichrist. We won't take time to go into all that tonight, but he makes an image. And you'll look at verse number 13. This is Revelation 13:13. He doeth great wonders, so that he make fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. Just because somebody can work a miracle don't mean they're of God. The devil can work miracles. You don't forget, the devil is second in power to God. He is the second most powerful being in the universe. So he works miracles. And then it said in verse 14, he deceives them that had on the earth by means of the miracles which he had to do in the sight of the beast, saying they should worship the image of the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. He's going to get hurt in the face. The Antichrist will be hit in the head or shot like President Kennedy was. And the third day, probably, I don't know this, probably will rise from the dead to counterfeit the resurrection of Christ. So if Christ was God in the flesh, the Antichrist will be the devil in the flesh. The spirit of Judas is going to come out of that pit, possess his body, he'll possess supernatural powers, and he'll cause the whole world to worship him. Now that's where we're headed tonight, and that's what I want to show you. Look at verse number 16. He causeth all, boys and girls, small and great, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, right there you are in the Bible, small and great, rich and poor, that gets us all, bond and free, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. Now, it's all over the world tonight. They are talking all the time on the news about chipping your pets, chipping your kids, putting a computer chip inside your skin, putting it right there in your skin, and they can put a computer chip inside your skin, and you can't buy or sell unless you got that mark. Now, that sounds like a great idea. If I didn't know that was in the Bible, I'd think, man, that's the handiest thing ever. You can't get robbed. You don't have to worry about leaving your wallet somewhere. You don't have to worry about something. All you got to do is go to the grocery store, put your hand out, they scan it, take out your grocery money, and you're done. It can stop drug deals. It can stop prostitution. It can stop all kind of illegal handling of money. Sound like a great thing, don't it? But look here what it said. It said you can't buy or sell unless you got the mark in your right hand or in your forehead. Notice the Bible says in your hand. Long time ago, preachers used to get up and preach, and they'd say, boy, the devil's going to put that mark on your hand. And people didn't understand how that was going to work. But it said in your hand. In your hand. That's underneath the skin. That's a computer chip, no doubt. Now look at Revelation 13:18. And 18 is 3 times 6. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, the number of the mark of the beast. His number is 666. Man's number. Now tonight, I'm going to show you how close we are to that taking place. I believe that the devil, the chief conspirator, is getting these generation kids ready to accept the Antichrist. You kids are living in a different day. Y'all are living in a different time than we did when we was growing up. Years ago, I remember old Ed Mackabee up there at the Nebo Camp meeting preaching when I first got saved and I was a teenager. He said, perilous times are coming. You don't say that no more. You say perilous times are here. We don't preach anymore. The last days are coming. The last days, ladies and gentlemen, are here. We're in those days. You kids are in a generation like the world has never seen before, ever. There's never been a time. Last Sunday morning, I preached on the generation that don't look up. Every kid you see, every adult, I go to the airport and everybody's sitting there like this, on a phone or on an iPod or on an iPad or something, and they're looking down like this continually. We are in the generation that don't look up. And I'm going to talk about some things that I believe will be a help to you if you'll pay very close attention. We're going to show you the latest stuff that's going on right now, and I'm just going to scratch the surface. And I'm going to show you here tonight how you know that you're going to see the 666 sign. You're going to see this right here. You know what that right here there is? That's a pyramid. You look on the back of your dollar bill, and it's got that pyramid. It's a sign of the Illuminati, a satanic symbol. The Illuminati means illuminate, like that light, lumen, light. Started back in the late 1700s. And these people behind the scenes are controlling gas prices, wars, who goes to war, when, running the show behind the scenes. Now look, I'm a pastor of church. I know somebody's making decisions. People say, well, I seen on the news gas is going up. There's somebody sitting in a desk somewhere making decisions like that. Somebody's calling the shots, people. You don't just everybody wake up and gas goes up one day. The world is being controlled by a group of people, and this group of people is getting us ready for the Antichrist. Now let's look at it tonight. You'll see that sign a whole bunch. On the back of your dollar bill, it's got a pyramid, and it's got the capstone missing, and it's got this one eye in it. The Antichrist is pictured in Zechariah chapter 11 as having a bad right eye. You don't believe we're getting ready for the Antichrist? Let me show you something. The one eye, the all-seeing eye, is Satan ready to take over the world. Go ahead and get them for me, Ron, if you will, please. And we'll make sure we got some sound here, and I want to show you something. Just get them all. That's our president saying that we're going to get a new world order. You think that's just an accident that keeps popping up over and over and over again? These people don't even know each other. There's the all-seeing eye. Watch this. You see that darkened right eye of a lady doo-doo here? You see that? Just that dark eye, and then that 666 sign. This is that sign of 666 right here. That don't mean three-pointer, brother. There's an old something way back before they even had three-point shots. And we're living in a time, boys and girls, when the devil is working things out to get you ready to receive the mark of the beast and worship the devil. Now, I tell you what you better do. You better get saved, and you better sit with your feet untangled, and you better be right with God, because Jesus could come just any minute. It didn't used to be like this. Let's watch this for a minute. Let's watch this for a minute. Look at the dark right eye, the no right eye, the dark right eye, the covered right eye, the dark right eye with the 666 sign, the dark right eye, the dark right eye. You think that's an accident? Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne puts a cross with the alien eyes in his right eye. There's that all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. It's a picture. Make sure my volume's on the black one. Look at here. Look at here tonight. Look at that girl. Darkening that right eye. Rihanna darkening the right eye. They don't even know why they're doing it. These poor people so dumb, they don't even realize what they're doing a lot of times. Destiny's Child, Jasmine, they give you the pyramid sign with the right eye darkened. Lisa, left eye Lopez with the dark eye open. And there's the eye of Horus. You can check that out on YouTube. Google it, whatever you want to do. Jay-Z's giving you the sign. There's the Masonic light sign of the Grand Pyramid. The pyramid sign, the dark right eye, left eye Lopez, the pyramid sign. Listen to this. I want you to listen to this song here tonight. It said, your house, your car, your clothes, your blue jeans, your tennis shoes. And the song says, we want your soul. We want your soul. Ain't that something? We want your soul. They're telling the truth. That's their desire. We want your soul. And that's what the music's in disaster. They want to your soul, boys and girls. It don't matter where you go when you die. Michael Jackson gives the sign there. That's Anton LaVey. See that sign right there? That the cheerleaders do at the ball game. I can show you on a satanic album that sign says 3 fingers down to deny the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, and the 2 fingers up to represent the horns of Satan. That's what that sign means. You want to see it just for a minute tonight? Watch this. We want your soul. They want your soul. We want your soul. The Beatles doing that way back in the 60s, man. That's where all this mess started to begin with. Now look at that. Look at the one-eyed monster there. The dollar bill. That's on the back of your dollar bill. You know the Lord said what money? You know what the Lord said about money? He said the love of money is the root of all evil. And that's where that eye, all-seeing eye of Satan come from. There's that little old girl, Willis Smith. That little Smith girl. Bible said he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in the forehead. And no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. That day's coming, boys and girls. This is Beyonce, and in her video, she's levitating. I'm going to show you how what the Bible says in the last days, people will give heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. Did you know people are being demon-possessed now more than ever? Somebody told me not long ago, they came to me one time, they said, Brother Danny, do you really believe people can be demon-possessed now? And I said, absolutely. There was in the Bible, and there's nowhere in the Bible where it ever says those demons died. They went down in there, they come out of those pigs, and they got in people. They're all over the world tonight, and you'll see it's levitation. In a satanic ritual, you levitate. Sasha Fierce is Beyonce's alter ego. Beyonce says, I'm a shy person. She says, I can't even get up in front of a group of people and perform. I'm too shy. But Sasha Fierce takes over, her alter ego. That's the world's definition. That's a psychiatrist's definition of demon possession. It's not an alter ego, ladies and gentlemen. It's a devil that takes over her. Just like the Holy Ghost can get a hold of a preacher and use it, the devil can get a hold of an entertainer and use them. Watch this. Look at that. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Watch the dove. Watch that white dove. You see that? That's a picture of the Holy Spirit leaving. When Jesus was baptized, the dove came down. When Sasha Fierce comes in Beyonce, the dove leaves. A picture of the Holy Spirit. But look here tonight. Look at the 666 sign. Most of them don't even realize what they're doing, and I don't have time to go into it. There's Nicki Minaj on national TV at the Grammy Awards levitating again by the power of the devil. You don't do that by God. Now, of course, that's fake, but the implication is it's an alter ego Roman being cast out of her. And in the not too late video, I go into all of that, and you can actually hear Roman talking through her and her growling like an animal as she talks. See that? They're playing with to attract the world. There she is. An industry paving the way for the Antichrist and the 666 sign. We're almost there, boys and girls. We're almost ready for Jesus to come back. He could come back before I get through preaching tonight. He could come back before I say the last amen this evening. We see it over and over and over. You say, well, preacher, that's scary. Yes, it is scary if you're not saved. If you are saved, you ought to shout. Look at that right there. A one-eyed demon shooting Jesus like through a bow and arrow with his right eye out. That's a picture of the Antichrist. Now who draws that stuff? Who comes up with that stuff? Whoever draws these cartoons and whoever's behind that music and who's ever in there hates the cross of Calvary and Jesus Christ. Now, I'm going to tell you something, boys and girls, tonight. The devil hates the cross. The devil hates the cross. The devil hates Jesus. That's why Madonna wears an upside-down cross around her neck. That's why they wear them. You know, they hate the cross. You know why? Because that old rugged cross, Jesus died on it and paid the price for my sin so I wouldn't have to burn in hell when I die. Thank God for the cross. I believe in the cross, and I'm going to stay with the cross tonight. Amen. Look at that. Isn't that awful? What is God? He's your imagination. Look at there. They got a goat crucified on a cross on a rock album with a bad right eye. A goat crucified on a cross with a prostitute in front of him with a bad right eye. Going to build you a world of lies. His t-shirt says, you hear us? Death to Jesus. That's what they wear at the concerts. You know how you know you got the right religion? Because you never see one of them that says death to Muhammad or the Koran or Muslim or Buddha or never, ever, ever, ever. It's always Jesus. Hadn't you noticed it's always Jesus that they don't like? Hadn't you noticed it's always the Bible they don't like? Man, I'm telling you, that makes me want to run out there in the highway and shout, brother. That makes me want to run out there and flag people down on the interstate and say, glory to God, we got the best thing in the world. We're heaven bound with a hammer down. I don't deserve it. All of y'all in here that know me, you know I don't deserve to go to heaven. I ought to be in hell tonight. But thank God, bless His holy name. I'm glad I'm saved through the blood, and that's why they hate Jesus. You do know there are people in this world, I'm sure tonight, that would cut my head off for what I'm saying tonight. They'd cut my head off for right now what I'm doing. And it might happen before it's over with. But I'm going to do, by the help of the Lord, I'm going to say, make sure you get it good right there, guys, because I'm going to have a new one before my toes quit wiggling. I'm going to be out there with the Lord, and He's got me in His hands, and He can protect me, and He can protect you as you go to school tomorrow. Don't you be ashamed to go in there and say, I belong to Jesus. Don't you be ashamed to say, I'm a child of God. Don't you be ashamed to take a Bible. We ought to be proud that we belong to Him. Amen. Look at this tonight. How you like that? Satanic symbols. 98% of Hollywood is controlled by the Illuminati and have major entertainers, including athletes. The street workers, the Illuminati promise entertainers great riches if they join. You teach them to get richer. And them boys don't even know what they're doing. Them poor boys are so dumb they don't even realize what they're doing. Hear that? Sad. The devil says, I'll make you rich if you'll serve me. The devil says, I'll make you a lot of money. I'll give you drugs. I'll give you fame. I'll give you fortune. I'll give you power. Look how they compare LeBron James to Jesus Christ. Call him King James. That ain't right, brother. The Lord said, I will not give my glory to another. It's a universal sign. Now I want you to watch this tonight. Watch this. There it is. Now watch this ritual right here. Look at this. Pyramid, 666. And the game ain't even started. They belong to a group that will say, we'll make you richer. You can get power if you'll do this. You can jump higher, score more points, whatever. There's a satanic power behind it all. Watch this tonight, young people. What you're getting ready to see here is a cartoon called Gravity Falls. You hear that reaction, mamas and daddies, when I said that word? What's the satanic implications in this cartoon? See the Grand Masonic Lodge guy here running the show? Every time I preach somewhere, I say this, and people get mad, and people get up and walk out and everything. But a Christian has no business belonging to the Masonic Lodge. I mean, you and believe people hate me for saying that. But the Bible said, Jesus said, in secret have I done nothing. You don't need to belong to something where you got to keep secrets. Why would a Christian belong to an organization where you have to keep secrets? Listen, brother, if you have to keep something secret, something's wrong. And all God's people said, amen. Amen. I was getting worried about you there. Amen. Look at this. All seeing eye. Look at this weird place. See his dark right eye? Watch this. Watch the all seeing eye and the pyramid pop up all the way through it.
The real mystery was why anyone came. And guess who had to work there?
No refunds. You can't ever get out. The all seeing eye. Look at his dark right eye. Look at the book they have to read. Floating eyeballs. They're watching you. The pyramid. The all-seeing eye. Trust no one. Watch this. Look at the pyramid.
Known for their pale skin and bad attitudes, these creatures are often mistaken for teenagers. Beware, Gravity Falls is nefarious.
The undead. Isn't it amazing how that every movie they put out now has zombies, vampires? Did you know? Let me take just a second here and explain to you what's going on. Some of you kids grow up and you just think Twilight and Twilight 2 and the saga continues. And you think, oh, it's so romantic. Oh, it's so romantic. You don't even realize what you're being taught. Do you realize that the guy in Twilight is not a normal human being? He's like a vampire, like a half monster, half human being. And the Bible says in Genesis chapter 6 that in the days of Noah, before the flood, it was the very same way. Sons of God, daughters of men, there were creatures that were not completely human. You know why these zombies come out, and all walk like that? The undead, they're getting you ready for what's going to happen during the tribulation. And there are things going to be walking around down here on this earth that are not part human and part demon. And they might be already. I don't know that they are, but I know they will be. And I'm going to tell you tonight, brother, this zombie, you don't want to get pregnant by a zombie? Are you crazy? If you lost your mind, listen, brother, you'll have Satan's child. That's what happened in the book of Genesis, and the Bible said they were giants. And they produced a super race. Listen, are you listening to me? They're wanting to have sexual relations with aliens and extraterrestrials and superhuman men, women. Have you noticed nowadays that about 3/4 of the separations and divorces you hear, it's always the woman running off and leaving her husband nowadays? Have you noticed that? Watch this. One eye. Pyramid. Pyramid. One eye. All see an eye right on the floor of the cartoon. Disney, Gravity Falls. The Eye of Horus. The all-seeing eye inside the zodiac calendar. Isn't that something?
Now I have to find out who and what.
You know, a Spider-Man picture, there's a lot of those aliens are pictured with no mouth or no nose. They're a hybrid, a mixture between a human and a demon.
Our zodiac. And I am Scorpio, the tyrannical.
They're getting you ready for the great tribulation period that I read about in Revelation 13 a minute ago.
The new masters of the universe.
Masters of the universe.
Well, I gotta tell you, buddy, Nick Fury is gonna put you in some serious time.
See the reptile look? That's a snake. Like Satan come to Eve in the Garden of Eden. And the Bible said he beguiled her. You know what the word beguile means? Seduce. Look at the little demon here on his shoulder with one eye.
Only believe something when you see it with your own eye. And even then, don't believe it.
Isn't that weird? Man, we've come a long way from Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry. Look at the UFOs in the sky there. How they put that in there for? Why'd they put that in there for? For kids. Getting them ready. Getting them ready. Watch this. Coming out of the pyramid. The pyramid's the center of town, but the capstone is missing. That's why it's like that on the dollar bill, like that big one over in Egypt. All they're waiting on, the world tonight is waiting on the Antichrist to come and fix the problems of this world. And they're ready to receive him tonight when he shows up. Look here. Half man, half monster. My babysitter's a vampire. That's good entertainment for our young minds. A vampire. A vampire is a part human, part kind of monster type of a person. It's a devil mixing with human beings. See the pyramid? Now watch this tonight.
I was different. There weren't...
Now don't you look this fellow right here, or whatever it is. I'm not sure exactly what that is. This man has supernatural powers. He's on America Got Talent. And they let him on there, but this guy don't have talent. What he does goes far beyond talent. For he levitates in real life. And you're going to see what they had him on doing. Listen to his testimony.
A lot of children where I lived, so I spent a lot of time playing by myself. I would go on imaginary adventures. I was battling pirates and climbing mountains. I do live on a short bus.
Listen to this.
That's where I stay.
That's where he lives, in Las Vegas.
When I'm in Tucson, Arizona, my home.
You can't do that with just one hand on a stick.
I feel like now, because people loved my first subject.
There's something that ain't right about that. Watch how they reacted to it on America's Got Talent.
That I have so many...
Now they had him back, and this time you're going to see him as he actually has the devil. You ever seen people in movies that get demon-possessed and stuff? Well, that's the way it works in real life. It's real. And watch what happens when he does this. They can't explain it.
Supporters across the country. I feel so much love. I want to touch.
I ain't going to touch me, man. He ain't touching me to you. He said, I want to touch as many people as I can. Just stay right over there where you're at. Amen. I ain't kidding you. I don't want none of that satanic energy coming through him into me. I don't want no devil on me. I don't want no devil in me.
Connection with as many people as possible. Tonight, I'm going to attempt to physically alter the matter in my body. This is extremely dangerous, but anything is possible if you really put your mind to it.
He said this is extremely dangerous, what I'm going to do. But watch him put, he said if you put, your mind has power over the universe. They call him Special Head. Now this is on national TV. Everybody in America sitting there sucking it up like they got good sense. Watch the pyramids all around him. This ain't no accident. This ain't no coincidence. There's a reason. There's a reason behind this.
Because we are human,
He's the capstone of that pyramid, the missing piece.
We all have special heads. Our intelligence allows us.
Listen, would you trust a guy that talks like that? Good night. He has the eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye. Did you know they're now saying that a lot of people possess a third eye right here, and they can do business deals, and they can do all kinds of stuff through that third eye that they're seeing through there right now? For you that think this is cool, you're showing your ignorance. This ain't cool, buddy. This ain't cool. You can call me old-fashioned, chicken, whatever you want. You start messing around with superpowers like that, that's when I'm checking out, man. I'm checking out. You can have it. You'll see him as he gets possessed.
To be masters of our universe.
Here he goes. Here he goes. Here he goes. See the Egyptian god behind him? Here he goes. Bows down to Satan. Those Egyptian gods that fought Moses, that threw down their serpent, or the rod turned into a serpent, they're still alive now. They're still alive now. Except they're on America's Got Talent. And America swallows it up like it's entertainment. Listen to him as he gets possessed. Look at his eyes. You tell me that's just entertainment. You say, oh, that's fake. Even if it's fake, what's it teaching? If it is fake, what's it teaching our kids? He disappears. Disappears. Those stupid Howard Stern, them sat there like they got good sense. Listen, you can't get more close to the devil than somebody like Howard Stern and them people like that. It's a wicked, evil spirit in that place. And the devil's smart. He ain't going to come and say, boo, I'm the devil, I'm going to take you to hell. He comes with something funny, something that looks good, sounds good. Look at that. He appears outside on the marquee, outside the building.
That's impressive.
How the Illuminati runs Hollywood? They go, by the way, they go this. They're not stupid. They'll form a small investment corporation that funds movies and ideas that they like. Then they publicly, why they're not doing this, hiring actors to push their agenda. You want to see it? Notice half of these movies come out before September 11th when the Twin Towers were hit. Before it ever happened. This one was in 2006. See the all-seeing eye in the pyramid on his shirt. Why would he draw that? What's the purpose in that? Why not a picture of his kid? See the Grand Masonic Lodge. The Masonic Lodge always been hooked up with the same outfit. 1995. See the all-seeing eye? Lordy mercy, that's 18 years ago. Look at that. Did you see that crash and burn on those big buildings? Crash and burn. Cab, C-A-B, cab, crash and burn. Watch it. There's the eye of Horus. Look that up on the internet. See on the side of that thing I driven by that ghost? C-A-B, crash and burn. Notice the all-seeing eye. There's the devil. That's the satanic symbol. 2006, 1990, way back yonder. The all-seeing eye, the pyramid. See the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye. That was in 1979, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the pyramid. Look at the pyramid. Look at the all-seeing eye. Look at the pyramid. Look at the all-seeing eye. Watch this right here. This was in 1991, 10 years before it ever happened. Look. Look at that. Just an accident? Look at that. This was in 1993. You say you believe there's a conspiracy? Of course I do. The devil, the conspirator, has been planning all these things for years and years and years. Watch it.
Act of destruction since the World Trade Center bombing.
9/11. 98 in the Godzilla movie. Talking about the World Trade Center bombing. Trading Places. Gremlins back in 1990. 9/11. Watch this plane in the year 2000. Go right around there to it.
With a female underage in a motel by the Dallas police.
1996.
1960.
September the 11th. Look at that sign on The Simpsons. Reckon that's an accident? That was in 1997. Weird, huh? Grand Masonic Lodge emblem. Masonic Lodge emblem. The all-seeing eye up above the pyramid. The missing link. All that's missing is the Antichrist. All that's missing is the arrival of the devil in the flesh to take over this world. That's all that's missing. This was in the year 2000. The all-seeing eye. My, isn't that something? Mystery Man. 1996. 2001, From Hell. That's exactly where it's from, by the way. Masters of Disguise, 2002. Look at that, 2005. 1977, The All-Seeing Eye. National Treasure, 2004. You don't think somebody's controlling Hollywood? Look at that eye over top of that pyramid. Like one big devil looking over it.
Before us, the opportunity to forge.
Listen to this.
Ourselves and for future generations. A new world order.
A new world order.
Where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
I think a new world order is emerging.
We needed a new world order.
Those people crazy, but now they're right.
Yeah, well, when Geithner said he would be open to the idea of a global currency.
He said our leaders say that we're open to the idea of a global currency. We've been preaching that for 30 years.
Exactly. Yeah. Those conspiracy people had said and suggested that for years. You're not wrong.
Ozzy Osbourne says Satan's sitting there, he's smiling. What's this? Jack Black prays on national TV with the MTV Video Awards, laughing, and everybody gives a satanic sign and prays to the devil.
All right. Now take the hand of the person next to you. Come on, Leighton. Dear Dark Lord Satan, hope everything's good with you. I'm doing fine myself. Just want to say hi and ask you to grant tonight's nominees continued success in the music industry. How was that?
Metal. Very metal.
Thank you.
And they call it the Den of Thieves on MTV. He said, "Dear Dark Lord Satan, grant the music industry success." You say, he's just joking. That's a funny thing to joke about. That's a funny thing to joke about. I think your problem is you just like that stuff and you're making excuses for it. I think that's what your problem is. You like dirty music because you got a dirty heart and you're trying to make excuses for it. That's your problem. That ain't mine. Get your heart right, brother, and you won't want to listen to something that brings shame and honor, dishonor to the Lord Jesus Christ. Look at here. Katy Perry sings this song, and the whole song is about a devil coming to be her lover, and they have a child together. He's an extraterrestrial. Do you think that's an accident? Do you think that's an accident? Listen. Could you be the devil? See, they say don't listen. You're not like the others. That's as wicked as you can possibly get, people. He's making love with the devil. Lead me to the light. She says, I want to be a victim. I'm ready for abduction. And that's what they're going to say is going to happen when the rapture comes. They're going to say that UFOs took us out of here and abducted us. Here's Katy Perry, one of the most popular singers in the world, asking for an alien to come and pick her up. And the teenagers in America are following. Well, there's their child. See the big eyes? There's the big one. That's what's happening, boys and girls. I sold my soul to rock and roll, and I let my demons take control. Here's where it's going to wind up. There's teenagers tonight in hell. There's boys and girls your age tonight in hell. There's kids that went out to party tonight, got a hold of some bad drugs, and it killed. Listen, some of you sitting here tonight, you got a mom and daddy praying for you. You've got somebody trying to help you live right. You ought to thank God for them. Don't fuss and fight with your mama. If she says don't go, say I ain't going to go. I want to cooperate. I want to do right. You ought to make up your mind tonight, kids. Any little old sissy can follow the devil. Make up your mind. I'm going to serve God. I'm going to do right. I'm going to do right. Because here's where it's all winding up. In hell, with people screaming and burning. Could you stand the pain? Could you put your faith in Jesus when you're burning in the flames? It's too late. Could you stand the torture? Could you stand the pain? Could you put your faith in Jesus when you're burning in the flame? It's too late when you're burning in the flame. Tonight I want to tell you the greatest story ever told. And the greatest story ever told tells about a man who went up on an old hill and they beat him and mocked him and made fun of him. Listen, Marilyn Manson ain't worth shooting compared to this man. Lady Gaga, I love Ozzy Osbourne, Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears. I mean, brother, it doesn't matter who it is. I'm not any of them people. They don't realize that Jesus died for every sin they've ever committed. Jesus died for every sin you've ever committed. Brother, thank God. Thank Thank God. Thank God. He loved us enough. He loved us enough to bear the old rugged cross. Thank God. He loved us enough to care. Thank God tonight.
My name is Gerald Schroeder. I have a, thank God, a strong science background from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, bachelor's, master's, PhD, 7 years in the physics staff, seen a whole range of atomic bombs detonated, moved to Israel, met my wife, Barbara Sofer, a great writer, and then teach Torah and science. So luckily, I'm lucky that I have the two that come together. And one of the questions that I'm asked as a scientist is, how can a scientist really believe that there's something what we refer to usually as God? You know, is this metaphysical whatever acting in the world or producing the world? And the irony is, the question's really a non-starter. Science has in fact discovered God. And you can talk to the hardline atheists and they will say, it looks like science has indeed discovered God. And how would that be? Well, if you take the trouble of going to the web and there type in WMAP, the initials for a satellite, it's a diagram that shows the development of the universe from the creation over time. It's a timeline. Every word on that diagram comes from the NASA site. It is the condensed knowledge of the scientific community of how the universe created and how it got to where we are today. Each of the lines, the vertical lines, is another billion years. Okay, you start from a burst of energy at the extreme left side of the diagram, and you end up at the far end with the oval. The oval is to indicate expansion in all directions. Of course, because it's a timeline, we can't show that on a single piece of paper. We see here, most amazingly, that on the extreme left edge, it shows a beginning to the universe. Now go back less than 50 years. If I were teaching that at Tech, a person could lose tenure saying that there was a creation of the universe. It sounds like it's Bible. Because less than 50 years ago, the overwhelming scientific opinion was the universe is eternal. There was never a beginning. The Bible is wrong from the very first sentence. And then we discovered, suddenly, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, the Bell Labs in New Jersey, the northeast of the US, discovered the echo of the Big Bang, the energy left over, which George Gamow, 60 years ago, predicted that if there had been a universe created hot and small, it would have exploded, and the energy would get more and more dilute, and Penzias and Wilson, these Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, discover this energy that had been predicted overnight. The Bible got it right. There was a beginning to the universe. Now, the black in the diagram is nothing. It's not a vacuum. Vacuums are within that diagram, within that cone of expansion. Vacuums are empty space, and space is something. The black of the paper around the diagram is nothing. It doesn't fit in our human brain because humans think in a box made of time, space, and matter / energy. No human, as clever as they might be, as expansive as they might be, thinks out of that box. So when we say outside that diagram is nothing, we can use the words, but we can't conceive of nothing. It doesn't fit in the human brain. How are we going to have this idea, is there a God or not? Notice that the creation force isn't a three-letter word, G-O-D. If you look at the words carefully, it's a quantum fluctuations. That understanding was first brought down by Ed Tryon, brilliant human being, in the journal Nature, almost 40 years ago. The universe allows creation of something from nothing, provided you have the laws of nature, the quantum fluctuation. Tryon realized, and he published in the journal Nature, one of the two leading peer-reviewed journals in the world, that you can create something from absolute nothing, provided you've got the laws of nature, quantum physics and the laws of relativity. In other words, the laws of nature. So look what science has discovered. We can create the universe from absolute nothing, provided we have the forces of nature. Now, the laws of nature, the forces of nature aren't physical, they act on the physical. So if they create the universe, that means they predate the universe. So now we have a set of forces, we call them the laws of nature, that are not physical, that are able to act on the physical. They create the physical from absolute nothing. And they predate the universe, which means they predate our understanding of time. Put that together, it sounds very familiar. If you haven't noticed it, that's the biblical definition of God. There's only one nuance that's left hanging, we can talk about it another time perhaps. It's that which created the universe, those forces active in the universe. But up to that point, science says you are correct. The definition of the biblical God is predates time, outside of time. God is not a physical being, is a force, and it creates the universe. You'll notice at the opening chapter of Genesis, the only name for God is Elohim, God as manifest in the universe. Science has indeed discovered the biblical God. Well, we just need one part left, crucial. That which created the universe is also active in the universe itself. The very fact that you're watching this now pretty much establishes that point.